What are you hearing about what Adam Schefter, former colleague at the NFL Media Group, is reporting that it looks like training camp is what the league is looking at for getting players back into facilities and physically together, and that would be significant. Obviously, having no on-field practices in the spring is something that everyone eventually can deal with if we're talking about let's just get focused on a playing season. But what are you hearing about the sands running through the hourglass on the NFL's opportunity to plan for a season here?
You know, Rich, even as far back as a month ago, that was what I was hearing from the owners that I had talked to, is they felt that the first time the players were going to get together was in all likelihood going to be training camp in a best-case scenario. So that doesn't surprise me at all. We've been told, as you know, not to speculate on all of this, so I'm not going to speculate. But I do believe that one thing the NFL has on its side is time, and that it can sit back and observe what happens with the other leagues that are looking to start now. We've heard that baseball ideally would like to have a spring training this month, quote unquote, and then start a season in July. And I think that if that were to happen, I think the NFL would be able to see, are there any hiccups? What were the pros and cons, any issues? And I think if there are no issues there, or let's say the NBA starting up, then I think to them the message is we go as planned. If there are hiccups, then I think obviously they would have to use contingency plans. But my expectation at this point, barring something dramatic happening, is that we will have training camp on time and the season will proceed as scheduled.
Yeah.
I don't know what it'll look like.
Right.
I don't know if that means fans or not, but I believe it'll start as scheduled.
Well, I mean, you mentioned baseball. Their collective bargaining agreement comes up after the next playing season. You're already beginning to see, conversations between the two sides right now that are preparing for that. How huge was it that the NFL got their CBA done just before the pandemic hit? Or just as it was happening,
question.
Jim, right?
No question, it was huge. I can't imagine what those discussions would be like right now. With everything that's going on and this climate, in a word, huge.
Right, because you're seeing right now what's going on with baseball and its union, and the conversations you're hearing are absolutely, hackles up based on the multi-billion-dollar argument that's coming, and the fact that the league, and I know many players were not happy that deal got passed, ratified, et cetera. And it just couldn't be any bigger because for everyone to come together, if things do need to change and modify it, obviously big that there's a 10-year deal that's signed and hammered out. What are you hearing anything about protocols? Are you hearing anything about, like, again, I'm reading about N95 masks being put on face masks and things of that nature to try and mitigate whatever community spread could happen should the players get out there. Are you hearing anything on that front, Jim?
Rich, you hear a lot of things, and I'm hesitant to talk about any of it because I don't know that any of it will come to fruition. But people are speculating about a lot of things, and the one thing I can say is that no one really knows. I mean, everyone I talk to from owners down, it's just sort of, well, maybe this, or maybe that, but nobody knows. And so I think it would be irresponsible of me to kind of just throw this stuff out there,
right,
without knowing that any of it has a chance to come into fruition.